Hi there, I'm Bill Cherry, and I'm in Dallas, Texas, but I represent people all over the United States, but primarily, nevertheless, in Texas, and even more primarily, for many years, those that have been with me and used me have been in the Galveston and Houston area. I've only been in Dallas for 15 years or so. I want to talk to you today about the Central Appraisal Districts that have now sent out the appraisals of what they believe your property is worth. For an example, your house. And it's always divided up in two parts. One of them is the land, and the second one is the improvements. And the improvements are the building that is sitting on the land. Now you have to remember those two things, because if you're going to protest your appraisal for the year, then you have to know what it is you're going to protest. Either it's the lot, or it's the improvements, or it's some amount for the lot and some amount for the improvements, okay? And you go in before the board and you say whatever you got to say and you hope that you're right and whatever. But that's not my part today. What I want to talk to you about is how this works, how you end up being able to get a fair shake, no matter what. You first go in and have what's often called an informal meeting with one of the appraisers, and you tell him what you think's wrong with your house, and he either agrees with you or he doesn't. If he doesn't agree with you, then what you do next is while you're there, you ask to go before the Appraisal Review Board. It's called the ARB, the Appraisal Review Board. It's made up not of people that are employees of the Central Appraisal District. They are people that have been virtually appointed as a result of their interest in that sort of thing, and they are people that are like your neighbors. They have nothing to do with Central Appraisal District other than they're going to listen to what you have to say and decide if you're really making sense or not. Let's assume you go before them and they vote, and they decide, for an example, that they either go with the appraiser, what he said was the case, or maybe they cut a little bit off and they don't think it's enough. The next thing you do, and this is what's important, is you go to the controller's office, the state controller's office, and you say, it's a form, and you say that you are protesting the value of your property that's been assigned by the Central Appraisal District, and you want an arbitrator. Arbitrators are trained. I've been one. In fact, I was one of the original ones, I think. And they go in and they don't have beans to care what's going on as far as whether they feel like, they ought to be backing up the Central Appraisal District or they ought to be backing up you. They listen to what the evidence is for both sides. They get the information in advance and they decide what the value is going to be. All right. They decide what the value is going to be, and they are like the Supreme Court. As soon as that guy says what the value is and signs his name on the form, whatever he assigned is it. Whatever he assigned is it. That's pretty important. There are two things involved in that. One of them is that you have to pay a fee up front to have the arbitration. It's $300 or $400. It's not very much. If you win, the Central Appraisal District has to reimburse you for that cost. If you lose, then of course the appraisal district doesn't have to reimburse you, and you are stuck with whatever you paid for the appraiser to come there. That fee, by the way, is not collected by the state. Some part of it is for the state, but it's a Mickey Mouse part of it. The rest of it really goes to the arbitrator. That's the important part. There's a caveat that goes along with that, which is the Central Appraisal District has to assign somebody, that's an appraiser, to come up with what the evidence is of their case as to why they appraised your property for what they did. It's a great deal of trouble, and they don't want to be bothered with it most of the time. So what normally happens is, as soon as they get evidence that you have asked for an arbitrator, they will try to negotiate with you to get the thing to go away, so they don't have to mess with going into the meeting and all that sort of thing. It takes several hours usually for those things to operate, and they don't want to be bothered with it, and I don't blame them. You know, what's it all in the long run? What does it all mean? It means more to you by a long shot than it does to them. So that's what you do, and then if you can negotiate it out, that's cool. If you can't, you go right ahead and have your arbitration. Do that, okay? Don't go in there and start complaining to them about, if you want to buy my house for $500,000, you think it's worth $500,000, and I'll take it right and sell it today. They don't want to hear all of that. Don't do that. What you're trying to do is you're trying to methodically go through the course that gets you where you're trying to go. And one way to not do it is to make enemies. Okay, I'm Bill Cherry. I hope you have good luck. I really do.